My name is Terry Lynch. I'm with Oregon Ufology. I found myself searching for a passageway one day. And that passageway leads right across the complete section of the Cascades, which I'm sitting in front of at the moment. On top of Blind Peak. I want to make sure that everybody sees the type of things that we find in the process of research for ufology. I have located a couple that's sitting here on the top of Blind Peak. She's facing south. He's facing north.
The Middle, Cascadia Guides, a Let's production, in conjunction with Alien Strand Films.
Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. It's going to be an interesting one today. You know, we got a lot of stuff coming up as far as the ufology world, right? And if you're into ufology and you're just new to ufology, well, welcome to ufology, man. You can find us on 28 platforms now on audio podcasts. We're on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Amazon. We're on, iPhones. You can Apple Podcasts. You can catch us all over the place. You can even ask Alexa. Alexa will play some Alien Strand Podcast. Just say, hey, Alexa, play some Alien Strand Podcast. And she will, or he will, or whatever, right? I want to do the Samuel L. Jackson of that one. You know why? I don't know. I got a sailor's mouth. But I don't know. That's just me. I love to laugh. I love to joke around. Now, if you're part of the Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we're a family, man. And like I always say, there's no I in team. Go join us there on Facebook, right? We're only live on audio today. We're not doing the video thing. You know, I'll explain to that in just a little bit. But, we're going live right now on audio because, I just want to get some more information out to you guys on UFO and UAP news is happening today, right? There's just a lot of things that are happening still behind the scenes, even though it's not like world news. You get to catch it here on Alien Strand. Now, like I said, if you like to ufology, you're into the ufology, you're into all that stuff, go watch our movie The Middle, Part 1, the first movie. Go check that out, and it's actually learning platform, right? So you can go check that movie out. The commercial was just in the beginning of this podcast, with Mr. Terry Lynch. Go check out that film, man. It teaches you a lot, you learn a lot, and there is an actual brand new discovery there on the Cascadia Guides. They're on top of Paulina Peak, right? And that's there in Oregon. Now, we filmed that in the earlier 2023, I believe. We filmed that. No, I'm sorry, I'm lying. In 2022, we filmed it, and then it was released on early January of 2023. Now, this film has been going out for about a year now. We're actually live on 13 channels. You can actually watch it for free on Tubi TV. You can watch it on, a TCL channel. You can watch it. You can even buy it on Amazon. If you don't want no commercials, go to Amazon there, or check this out, right? If you don't like commercials, go to our brand new Skylight channel. It's called Skylight Channel. Go look for it on Facebook. I'm going to put a link to it after this podcast is over on this podcast, so you can find that channel. It's called Skylight. Now, all of our films are on there from Let's Productions with Alien Strand. As far as the middle part 1, the middle part 2 is up there as well. You can either purchase it one by one, or check this out, man, or you can get a subscription, right? If you get a subscription, it's $3.99 a month, right? And you're able to watch everything on there for that one price that you pay for that 1 month, right? So it's a win-win, man, because, I have the other movie, part 3, that's going to be coming out pretty soon. It's going to be on that platform, and then you don't have to pay again. You're already there, man. You can watch all the Alien Strand films, the production kind of films on there, as far as the middle part 1, the middle part 2, C3. That's a great film. You need to go watch that. Or if you just want to purchase it, it's on there. Go check it out on Skylight Channel, right? Go to there on Facebook, click on the link, and it'll take you right to the channel, and you can watch the films, or you can even purchase the films. You can purchase them, and they're yours, man. You can download them, they're yours, and you can watch them as many times as you want. It won't download on that page, it's going to download to your device. In other words, if you have a computer or your phone or anything like that. So kind of remember, that's just where it's going to download if you purchase that. And if you do, thank you so much. We appreciate that for the support. And like I said, go to Skylight Channel there on Facebook. You'll be able to find us there. Now, there's been a lot of things happening, man, in the ufology world. And it's just, we've been seeing a lot of disclosure happen as it happens daily, right? There's a lot of UAPs and UFOs have been posted on Facebook. Now, I do a lot of Facebook stuff and a lot of Instagram, and I do some TikTok stuff. So you can find us there on TikTok too. You go to Alien Strand, I believe, and go there. And been a lot of good stuff there on UFOs that we've been posting there on Alien Strand Disclosure Project. Now, a lot of stuff there is for ufologists. Now, if you want to be a ufologist or learn ufologist, just go look for our page, Alien Strand Disclosure Project. Fill out the questionnaire, fill it all out, because if you miss a question or anything like that, we're not going to let you in. You're going to have to start all over again, okay? So let's make sure you fill it all out before you go check that out. But go check out our page, and it's very informative. It teaches you a lot on Alien Strand Disclosure Project, and you can learn a lot from our ufologists that are there, because we've been doing this for a while, man, a good while, and so we help you analyze footage, we help you analyze videos, and we help you analyze all kinds of stuff, right? So go check that out, and hopefully you have some video footage, or even if you have audio footage of just paranormal stuff, we'll analyze that as well with Mr. Anibal there, and Jody Gordon helps us out there. We have Chris Hamill from Australia helps us out there. Now we have Danielle Hefcliff now that just joined Alien Strand Disclosure Project. We have a lot of folks involved now all over the United States and all over the planet. So, we're there to help you, right? And if you have an abduction story, anything like that you need help with, give us a call, or give me a call one by one, and I'll be able to help you. 361-245-8000. Again, that's 361-245-8000. You can just text me there, and then I'll reach out to you if you want to speak one-on-one, or instant message me on Facebook, man. You can find me anywhere on Facebook. Check it out. Go to your Google, go to your phone right now. Google Donald Ledesma, right? See what comes out. You're going to see me all over the place, right? Even if you Google Terry Lynch, it's going to be all over the place, right? Because we have been doing this for a few years now, and we know what we're doing. We know exactly what we're doing. So and we're just trying to help with disclosure. Now, like I said, we're there to help you and help you the best way we can. If you want to get your story out, find us on Alien Strand here. If you want to be on our show, contact me, man. Contact me or instant message me, and I'll put you on the show. If you have reached out to me, I might have forgotten, okay? So send me a reminder, please. I'm like all over the place because I am a filmmaker too. I'm an editor, and I'm doing everything as I can to get disclosure out to all of you, right? And all this we're doing here is to help you. We're not trying to be millionaires or anything like that. It's not going to happen, right? We're just trying to help you guys out as much as possible to get this information out. Now, there's a few articles out there that I actually found on the net, right? So, there's actually one that was just released yesterday by ABC News, right? And And it says that, the public's UFO obsession has experts and others sorting out what's fact and what's fiction, right? And it just kind of asks the questions, are we alone, right? We've been saying that forever and ever. Are we alone in this universe, right? So I'm going to read this to you. It says, the stories of flying saucers, little green men, and contact with beings from across the cosmos have fascinated the public for centuries, and people have wondered what's beyond our skies. But over the last few decades, the science of mass media has explained that the obsession with unidentified flying objects and the possible extraterrestrial life has exploded. And yes, it does. I mean, since this has come out, even last year, even the year before, even when the Bob Lazar story came out in the 90s, it was out there, man. And people just started grasping the concept of, are we alone, right? For a long, long time, right? And it also says here, but for over the decades of science and mass media expanded, the obsession with unidentified flying objects and the possible extraterrestrial life has exploded, right? Okay, so from the sun, sightseeing tours, supposed UFO activity hotspots like Roswell, New Mexico. Okay, I've been there many, many times. It says, to the serious with last year's tense congressional hearings on the subject of a lot of money, resources, and time being spent answering the questions, are we alone? Neil deGrasse, Tyson, he's been kind of, talking about this. At first, when I first started seeing him, he laughed about it a lot, saying that, what is a UFO? He goes, we still don't know what a UFO is, right? Because we're saying it as we're saying the word UFO, unidentified. We still don't know what it is, right? When you say UFO, unidentified. So, and he's just trying to give you the scientific terms of everything, because everything that Neil deGrasse says, he speaks with a scientific mind and the proof on the paper, on the math, right? And that's what he's about. He's not about, thinking about the morals and the religious parts. He's just thinking about the math of everything that he brings to the table as far as his information on science, right? And he says there are people who will see things that are unexplainable, but they can't explain it. So to them, it's unidentified, fine. Well, let's investigate it. Famed astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson told Impact Nightline. So this is what he said, right? He's like, hey man, there's people out there that sees this stuff, but can't explain it. Well, that's everybody, man. That's pretty much all of us. That until the day, and this is what I've always said, right? Until the day that one of these things lands on the freaking ground and decides to, communicate with us. I don't care if it's sign language. I don't care if it's, if they're writing it on a piece of paper or even mental telepathy. They are. That's what we'll know. Really, in reality, that's just how it is. And it says an episode on Impact X Nightline, now streaming on Hulu, takes a look at the cultural phenomenon behind the UFOs, interviews and scientists. It says UFO enthusiasts and people who claim to have been abducted by aliens. Wow, right? And that's the kicker right there, because when people say they've been abducted by aliens, first thing they look at you is like, hey, you're crazy, man. Or like me and Terry always say, you're wearing a tinfoil hat. They start pointing that. But now it's a little bit further to reality, as far as now they're starting to, before it was like you were 100% nuts back in the 40s, 50s, things like that, right? 60s, 70s, you're still nuts, right? But now you're not 100% nuts anymore. Now it's like you're maybe about 70% nuts, or maybe you're 60% nuts. But today, I think we're starting to look at it more like a 50-50. You know what? This might have been happening this whole time, right? And we degraded all these people all these years, right? And even some of them got killed off because they were trying to speak the truth, or a lot of them took their own lives, unfortunately, because they didn't know how to understand it, right? Or what they were coping with as far as UFOs and abduction, especially an abduction, man. Abduction is the worst thing that can happen to somebody. It ain't no hunky-dory, thing that's going to happen. Like I've been telling you guys, that if you're going to sit there and drink a cup of coffee and eat a sandwich, one of these things, it's not going to happen. The only thing that they're going to be eating is you. All right. So kind of remember that. And I'm not saying all of these. I'm just saying some of these things happen. Right. We're going to investigate those a little bit further with Alien Strand and Alien Strand Disclosure Project. And we're going to talk about that, later in the year, this year. And we're going to put that on video for you guys to see of what's happening in that kind of segment. Right. So Margaret Whitecamp, the Department of the Chair of the National Airspace Museum, told the Impact that the phenomenon behind UFOs began in the 1940s and the 1950s with public obsession with flying saucers, right? Arguably, the most famous incident took place in the summer of 1947 when the rancher found wreckage including metallic-looking scraps on his property. This is around the same time that the U.S. Air Force began Project Blue Book initiatives to have and investigative reports, right? What we probably know now as the weather balloon incident, but a lot of lore has risen up around, especially the secure area around the American West, where the people then a lot of questions. They ask a lot of questions of what's happening there in Whitecamp said. The reports of the weather balloon did little to quell people's suspicions, experts said, right? Reports of unidentified lights in the sky, aircraft, and others explained events, particularly in the Southwest, exploded since the 1950s and turned into the area into a pop culture phenomenon. Now, I'm going to let you know why that happened in the 1940s and the 1950s, right? In the west part of the United States, which is, right, Arizona, Nevada, California, all that mountainous area, right? Perfect place to hide, right? If you're around any kind of landmass, because there's a lot of places that people can't climb or go to see what's happening or what's happening underground, right? So what was happening in the 1940s and 1950s in that area? What happened? Oppenheimer is a good indication, right? They were working with nuclear explosives, right? They were actually testing a lot of these nuclear sites, right? So of course, here we go. We're attracting these UFOs and UAPs to these areas because, hey, they're looking at us like, hey, what are you doing, man? This is what I'm thinking. This is me personally. Thus, you start seeing all this information. Now, there was a story out there of the Roswell incident, of why it happened as well, why this UAP crashed. They're saying there was two vehicles, really in reality, that they said they were flying up there and they had just turned on our radar system, right? So apparently they're saying that our radar system, this is one of the stories I heard or read, that our radar system back then, it pulled off some kind of energy that it disrupted their electronic magnetic fields in these spacecraft, right? And it made them wobble and they crashed into each other when they turned this radar system on. And this is what caused the crash there in Roswell. Now, and then, of course, later in life, we start nationalizing these stuffs, and we start, now we got Roswell. Roswell's a special place to go to. I go there every year, maybe twice a year sometimes, and we sensationalize these things, because our minds are intrigued of what we want to see and what we are seeing in our skies, in our night skies, in our daylight skies now as well. Why? Because everybody has a camera or a miniature camera or video player in their hand now. So now we're starting to see more of this information as it comes out. And it says, just outside Las Vegas lies what many UFO enthusiasts call the extraterrestrial highway, which features UFO-themed attractions and stores, right? And I've been down that extraterrestrial highway out there towards the Little Alien, famous place where they filmed Independence Day, right? On the movie that came on July 4th, I believe. So, great movie, by the way. But I was there, I filmed it, and we have, actually, if you go to our Skylight channel, there's a free video there. It's called The Making of The Middle. And we take you there on that. It's a 20-minute video film. Go check that out, and it'll give you some backstory of what we were doing and how we made this film. Now back to this story. It says, some who claim they've gotten up close and personal with a being from outer space told Impact of their lives and forever changed from what their fateful encounter has been, right? Kat Patterson told the Impact that she was abducted by aliens 24 years ago when she and her sister-in-law were driving in the rural area of Patterson, said the experience, where she allegedly put on a metal bed and was given a pelvic exam by a group of aliens that traumatized her. She says, if you believe me, great. If you don't, that's fine too. You don't have to, she said, as I know what happened. And these people will never change their stories. I'm going to tell you right now. Because the people that I interviewed for my film, The Middle Part 2, the stories that they told me before I even went out there to go interview them, they told me exactly the same exact way and the phrase, the way it happened to them. And they never changed a word, right? And this is how you know when people are being sincere of things that they've witnessed and seen, because they don't change their story, right? I was a police officer back in the day, 94, whatever, and I learned to read people's body language. And that was, there's a lot of signs to show if someone is not telling you the truth, right? And I'll give you just a few, so that way you guys can, see if maybe you can try it on somebody, right? So usually what happens is they cross their arms, right? When they're talking to you after a while. They'll cross their legs. Their body gets fidgety. Their eyes will not make contact with you. Their eyes will look to the side, to the right or to the left. Won't be directly at you. And the story will change. It's not consistent, right? So these are just little things that you can try on somebody. I didn't tell you to do that, but try it. It works, believe me. So, and this is a story from ABC News that's out there right now. And now these bigger affiliates of news organizations are starting to jump on board of UFOs, right? What they first thought was a laughable laugh, right? To folks like us and what we're trying to do and trying to find disclosure. And that's the hard thing for ufologists and people that are trying to tell their stories around the world, is that you try to get out as much information that is what has happened to you as possible, right? And to get the people in the world to listen to you and to understand what you've seen wholeheartedly, right? Without getting a smirk or a laugh or a giggle or their eyes go up in the air when you're talking to them. People are out there trying to give their full disclosure. They're not after fame. They're not after money. They're out there to tell their stories and about exactly what happened to them, right? And that's the hardest thing for them to do. a lot of them have been so sincere that they break down in tears because of what has happened to them. And they just don't know how to explain it, right? And they try the best that they can to explain it to you. I know, because I've questioned a lot of these folks. I've had one-on-one discussions with a lot of these folks. Intense discussions on a lot of these folks. These people tell me a lot of their stories that some are so hard to believe, but once you put the data together, it's not far-fetched. You know, it is the truth. And I've had one crazy story, and I'm going to tell you this real quick, all right? So that way you guys can know what I deal with on a one-on-one basis sometimes. I won't tell you who told me or anything like that, but I'll tell you the story. So this gentleman talks to me on my instant messenger, and he starts sending me messages on a UFO video that I had posted, and he had actual stills of this same UFO crap that he was trying to put together on his own page, right? It was the exact same UFO, but in a different place or different area, right? And this is the data we seek always, right? So anyway, I'm already intrigued. I'm already talking to him. And then he starts telling me that, you know, he had been abducted a long time ago, right? And ever since then, he's been seeing these crafts pop up every once in a while, right? And I'm like, wow, okay. And so he starts telling me the story when he was a young boy. He was a young man. He was abducted. He went and they took him up onto the ship, and he was sitting there with other people, right? Didn't know who these people were. They were all looking at each other, but like in a trance, called a state. They were in a semi-trance. So after his abduction experience, in which they pretty much just checked out his body, everything like that, only things, small things that he could remember, that he remembers sitting there in this room, like Bob Lazar explains, how everything's molded together, where there's no right angles anywhere, right, inside of this ship. But he sees these people. Anyway, so later in life, a few years pass, he jumps on Facebook, starts meeting people. And one of these people reached out to him and said, "Hey, I know you, right?" And he's like, once he says, "Well, why don't you call me on the chat, instant messenger?" So they met, and then he remembers, "I saw you inside that ship." He goes, "Yes, that was you, right?" He goes, "Yes, that was me." And it was a female, right? And they talked about their experience and things that they had seen, right? Now, what are the chances of you remembering something like that? And a few years pass, and then you meet the person that was sitting inside that same ship with you. How does that happen, right? And that was his story. And then later, I meet somebody else. I did not know who this other person was. He didn't give me names. So then, a few months, I'm talking to somebody else on my instant messenger and find out that I knew this other person. I didn't know who this other gentleman was, but this other person had newly approached me, and it was part of our ASDP, Alien Strand Disclosure Project. They wanted to be a ufologist. So they started telling me this story, and I'm like, wait a minute, I heard this. Is this the person you're talking about? They go, yes. I'm like, oh my God. See? So this is what I'm trying to tell you about. Disclosure. Because that was my aha moment, to where when I meet people on a daily basis, that they give me a lot of information to where, and it's so strange because later it comes back to me somehow. I don't know if it's meant for the cosmos, or I don't know, maybe I'm in touch with something deeper, or something that's surrounding me to be a part of these people's lives, and I'm still a part of their lives. The thing is that, call it divine intervention, call it fate, call it whatever you want. How does that happen, right? And that's my thing, right? It's like, wow, how did that just happen to me? And that was my aha moment to where I knew that I was on the right track to ufology, right? And disclosure, because that's what it's about. I'm not just a filmmaker out there to make a buck. No, that's not me. I'm out there to tell their stories, and I'm out there to show you their information and show you their what they've investigated, right? Show you their proof as well. And all my films. None of it's scripted, and we just keep going forth for the disclosure that's coming out of everything, right? Because these people want you to know exactly what happened to them, right? And how they're living their lives afterwards. And these are the people that I talk to every day. Being a part of Alien Strand Disclosure Project, right? And being a part of Alien Strand podcast here, because that is my job, and it's been my job for the past 5 years to give you guys all this information as much as possible, right? And that is news to you and me both, right? Because that's what we do. We give out as much news as possible on ufology. And how wonderful it is that it all just comes together for me, but not just for me, because I'm sharing this story with you out there today. So you guys can understand that how much it impacts not just my life, it impacts your life and it impacts their lives as well when I'm giving out disclosure and helping out a lot of these people as much as possible, right? A lot of them have reached out to me afterwards and said, they just feel like a great weight came off of their chest in relief that they did it, finally, right? Because they've been holding it in for such a long time. And you have to remember these folks and how brave they are for doing what they do, right? And that's what today's podcast was about. It's to show you a little bit of disclosure of how the world is waking up, how these bigger news organizations are starting to wake up to ufology, to we are not alone category, right? And you always have to look at everything with an open mind, right? Open your mind, man, when you're doing stuff like this. Don't be closed-minded. Because once you're open-minded, you're like a funnel with information that's going to be coming through. And that spout is going to be open all the time. And you're feeding all this information to yourself to where you're starting to make your consciousness starts becoming even more awake to the possibilities of things that are around you, that what you didn't understand, now you do. Just remember that when you are looking for disclosure. Now they're starting to look at the destabilization of technology, right? There's an article here from The Hill. It's called Destabilizing UFO Technology and It's Vulnerable to the World, right? According to philosopher Nick Bostrom, a novel on technological discovery may one day devastate human civilization. The Bostrom vulnerable world theory, only extraordinary inventions such as unprecedented global cooperation or surveillance can prevent significantly dangerous new technology from using or ushering in civilization collapse. With key members of Congress suspecting that the U.S. already poses such a uniquely destabilizing technology, Bostrom's hypothesis may soon be put to the test. Legislation proposed by the Senate Majority Chuck Schumer and a bipartisan group of the 5 senators alleges that separatist government legacy platforms have retrieved and are attempting to reverse engineer UFOs of seemingly non-human origin. Although an influential member of the House successfully killed the most remarkable elements of legislation later that year, Schumer and his Republican counterpart are not backing down. It says at the same time, several House members stated last week that they consider the allegations of David Grush, a former intelligence officer who tested under oath, that UFO retrieval and reverse engineering programs to be credible. Wow. And all this is saying is that they're using that technology to kind of take over the world, in a sense, that it might take over the world. So they have to be careful of how they use it. And I get that part. God knows I get that part. These robots are starting to build themselves, really, in reality. We're making these things way too smart for their own good. And they don't even have an own good. They don't have no conscience. They have nothing. They're just programmed. And that's the thing we have to watch out for. You cannot give conscience to a machine. I don't care who you are. You cannot program consciousness to a machine. It will never have a rational thought, whether to act or react, with a thought process of thinking about it first before it does it and making the right choice. Now, us as humans, sometimes we do that. We do that as well, if we're going to make the right choice. But we rationalize things as well. These things don't. They just act. They don't react. That's the difference between AI, robots, nanotechnology, things like that, to get us pushed to I'm not going to say a better future, but I think we can actually do it without AI. AI does help, but to me, it's starting to be a nuisance. Because if you really you're trying to look at all these photos and videos and things like that, and now they have these AI videos and commercials now you've seen already. I'm not going to say which ones, and it just looks so cheesy to me, because these things don't move naturally. It doesn't move at all. This computer generated program is trying to generate a human being and movement, but it can't. Not in a natural form. Because it's digitized. That's why. So this is what this article was indicating, that we need to stop this before it goes any further, right? And who knows? Maybe it will. And my thought process, you've already heard me say before. You know how to fix that? Unplug it. Turn the power off. Let's start this over again. And I've said it too, once or twice. Sometimes I think we need a master reset for the human race in order for us to get back to being who we are. And like I've always said, as ufologists, we stand together. People, we need to stand together. We need to just be as one. We're humans, right? We're not no race. We're not none of this. We need to get away from all that. We just humans. We just need to love each other no matter what. And that's what it's about. And we should help each other no matter what. Because after all this is gone, there ain't going to be nothing left. Right? So let's work together. And let's be one, right? Let's work together in ufology and disclosure so we can be one. Let's not work against each other. Let's not see who's going to be higher on the totem pole, because that's not going to happen, man. You know, people have fought me tooth and nail on that already. You know, it's already starting with Alien Strand. You know why? Because we touched a nerve. We're not in it for the money. We're not in it for that. We're in for the disclosure. We're in it for you. We're here to give you the information. That's why if you catch our Skylight channel, go check it out, man. There's some free things on there as well. It's not always paid for. You can buy the subscription. It's real cheap. It's only like $3.99. You can see everything that's on there, all the movies, even the paid ones. You can see those for free. Or you could just watch a couple of the free ones that are on there. It's disclosure. It's information. It's for you guys. And I'll put a link to that channel on this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast with information that I've been giving you today on a little bit of UFO news, a little bit of UAP news, a little bit one-on-one with people that I've talked to. You know, it's been my pleasure. Catch us on 26, 27 platforms. You can even ask Alexa to play some Alien Strand podcast. Thank you for listening to me live today. We are live on Spreaker right now, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. After this podcast is over, catch it on 26 other platforms. All right. This will even be on YouTube as well. All right, catch it on YouTube. Just the audio part. This will not be a video podcast, just audio only. I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys one-on-one, you know, while you're sitting there driving, you know, enjoying the evening, the afternoon. I know it's cold out there. Wear your beanies, keep warm. We're in the cold spell right now, but it soon will change here in a couple of months, especially for me down here in South Texas. It usually gets pretty darn warm around March, right? So that's only about a month and a half away. And, no, maybe 2 months. But still, that's around the corner for a lot of us, right? All right, guys. Thank you for listening to Alien Strand Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's segment on UFO and UAP News 1.0, right? The next one's going to be 1.1. And then we're going to keep going numbers by then, right? I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Like I said, please like, share, give us a thumbs up. You know, if you want to support us on there, there's a little link there as well. You can support us, you know, throw a couple of bucks our way. And that helps this page grow and helps all the information go as much as it can, as much as we're going, man. That's what we're doing here for disclosure, all right? Don't forget to follow us on Patreon. I'm going to have a Patreon podcast there tonight. Go check that out. You download Patreon. There's a free one there, and there's one for like $5, you know, that you get for special people, all right? So thank you for listening to Alien Strand Podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and you know what? It's been my pleasure. You have yourselves a good day. You have yourselves a good evening. And you have yourselves a good night.